Saquon Barkley was brutally honest in that he was thinking of sitting out in the regular season. Then he changed his mind. I had an epiphany, the mindset of what I want to do. Are we live?
We're live.
Are we live? 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 Let us know if we're live. Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Let us know, people, if we're live. Are we live? We're live. What's going on, everybody? How's everyone doing? Day 2 of New York Giants training camp in the books. Another fun day of watching Darren Waller. Another fun day of watching Giants training camp practice. Now, this is the last day where there'll be no pads at all, just helmets. Like, I think either tomorrow they'll be in full pads or they'll at least be in shoulder pads, which makes
I think tops tomorrow and then full pad Sunday.
Yeah, which makes a big difference in, the trenches and stuff. So right now it's more of a passing academy, a passing camp than anything. But some really good takeaways today. And Justin, I wanted to start with this because we talked about Darren Waller yesterday, and we can sit here and say how, Darren Waller is good. Right. What I thought was really interesting last year during Giants training camp, Wink Martindale would put everyone at the line of scrimmage, throw these exotic looks with no worry of consequences in camp last year, and it threw the offense for a wrench, and the offense looked like unoperable. Like, not just for a day, like majority of training camp, it looked really, really bad. Today, they were throwing those same blitzes at the New York Giants, and there was some protection stuff messed up here and there. But Darren Waller was like the fixer of that. Yep. Because, okay, you're going to throw that at us? Darren Waller's going to get open somewhere over the middle, and he consistently did. I mean, in 11 on 11, here's how the throws went. Darren Waller, Darren Waller, Darren Waller.
Yeah.
And then an incompletion, and then Daniel Bellinger. And then some stuff, and then they were able to get some big plays over the middle. I had Daniel Jones at 9 for 11 today, and 4 of those were to Darren Waller, 2 to Paris Campbell. You had a couple nice plays over the middle by Darius Slayton and Daniel Bellinger. But it's like, okay, now DJ with some confidence, and Darren Waller kind of helps against some of those defensive looks that Wink Martindale will give you.
Yeah, and we're going to have Art Stapleton on the pod tomorrow, so we talked a lot about Darren Waller as well. But I'm going to repeat this point again, same thing that we said with Art. The difference between, I hate to, Evan Ingram is the comparison because, hey, the speedy tight end, right? The difference between Waller and Ingram is that we have been able to see Waller the last 2 days and his short area quickness, right? The short area quickness has been the main difference in the main takeaway.
Like goal line one-on-ones, he's able to get clean separation.
Right.
On short breaks.
Yeah, and so yesterday was all about red zone work, and today was about second and third downs, and it was the middle of the field, so you have more field to work with, and the field is wider and stuff like that. So even seeing Waller and how how quick he is in short spaces. It's something that we really haven't seen before.
Yeah, so it was really nice to see that. But overall, the offense did look pretty good. Again, like I said, Daniel Jones was 9 of 11 on 11-11 team drills. On 7-on-7, he was only 4 of 7, so not as good. There was an interception on a play where the look was at Hodgins. Hodgins got pressed up, which I want to talk about. And then Waller was coming over on a crosser, and he was kind of rolling to his left, and he threw it to Waller. It was a fine read, but he simply just overthrew it, and McKinney intercepted that. So that was like the one blip for the day. And there was another play where Adoree Jackson almost got his hands on a ball, but broke the pass up. But overall, good day offensively. We didn't talk much defense yesterday, and I do want to get to that, obviously, in the second half of this. But on offense, I did watch a little bit of the O-line, and mostly Josh Azudu, because we'll talk about position battles. Bredesen, we talked about, do we think he's being trained as like the swing interior? He is. He took reps today at center, left guard, and right guard. And today, John Michael Smith started at center. Bredesen was starting at left guard with Azudu rotating in, and then Azudu worked with the twos as well. Azudu is using his hands. Now, again, there's no pads on. It's hard to exactly tell from the stands and not looking at it play by play. But when I did look at Azudu, I saw, okay, he's at least using his hands. We'll see how all that translates. But that was the biggest issue with him. Obviously, his foot speed is really good, but he needs to clean up some stuff with his feet. But that was the biggest issue with him early on last year, was not just he can fix this with his hand usage and his punch. He just wasn't even using his hands. So that was encouraging out of Azuda. There wasn't really much notes on the offensive line. Again, they only had 11 passes of 11 on 11, but like I was watching Azuda because he was with the second team, and I was very encouraged by that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. A lot of guys. You mentioned, Azudu yesterday was getting a lot of first team reps. Ben Breslin today got some, I would say, more first team reps today. At guard.
He was the starting left guard.
So that happened with
that's going to be the lineup right to start.
That happened with a decent amount of positions today, where Darnay Holmes primarily was the starting slot corner yesterday. Cordell Flott was primarily the starting slot corner today. We'll talk about him. He was a main takeaway from practice. Paris Campbell got more first team reps today, right? Versus it was Cole Beasley yesterday. There were some packages where Paris Campbell and Cole Beasley were on the field together, which was quite interesting. Hey, we know that Paris Campbell has that outside-inside versatility. We mentioned the guard spot. John Michael Schmitz was out there with the first team more today. So, hey, we're still in the early part of camp, and there are some camp position battles that this team is going through. Dane Belton was out there as the safety number 2, primarily today with the first team versus Jason Pinnock yesterday. Jason Pinnock was running with the 2s. Dane Belton a lot of time in the box today. Xavier McKinney a lot of time deep. So
we also got something wrong yesterday that I want to clear up.
Yeah.
Micah McFadden did get first team reps yesterday and a little today, but Beavers is the starter. But yesterday, I don't know why we didn't think that McFadden got first team reps. They actually are split. If that's one position, Bow, that they're actually splitting reps, it is that. But Beavers is
not from what I've seen. I mean, I'll take the L on being wrong a few times, but I was pretty sure that Darren Beavers got the majority of the reps.
He's got more than McFadden, but McFadden has been like the first round they'll go Beavers, second round McFadden,
yeah,
and then third round we'll go to Beavers. So eventually Beavers wins out there, but McFadden. I mean, some of the big Darren Waller plays from yesterday were against Micah McFadden, which wasn't encouraging for him. Offensively, Waller obviously huge. Daniel Bellinger continues to just catch everything. Like he doesn't separate. Like he's not amazing at separating.
He had a big 20+ yard gain today. That would have been a 20+ yard gain even though it's practice.
Yeah, he catches. I mean, no matter how tight the coverage is, and DJ's willing to throw that in there and put a good accurate ball on him. But man, he has strong hands that go out and attack the ball, and that's pretty impressive to see. Like, that was a question of the offseason is like, what happens with Daniel Bellinger now that Darren Waller's here? Like, if they want to play a ton of 11 personnel and Daniel Bellinger's not getting a ton of reps, like I wasn't going to be complaining because, hey, they have Darren Waller on the team. But after the first couple of days, I do think we're going to see a nice fair share of 12 personnel with 2 tight ends on the field. And I think Bellinger is going to be a big part of the offense. And I think Waller doing what he does is going to open stuff up for Bellinger. And I think they're going to work well together. And then I'm interested to see, you talked about it a lot in the offseason too. Once they do get in pads and start working the run game, how much is Bellinger lining up in the backfield as a fullback and, as a wham blocker,
fullback, H-back,
and
and stuff like that? Yeah, for sure. And yesterday, Bellinger got a lot of targets, and I was one to say, all right, they did a lot of red zone work yesterday. A lot of red zone work. Of course, you're going to put the bigger guys on the field and run 12 personnel. But today it was second down and third down, and they were running towards the middle part of the field where I said before the field is bigger and there's more space to work with. And they were still utilizing those 2 tight end sets, and both Waller and Bellinger were eating.
Yeah, so I'm excited for all the 2 tight end stuff. Offensively, we'll talk about it with Deonte Banks a little bit. But one positive play he did make was he broke up a pass to Isaiah Hodgins on the sideline. But the flip side of that is, I was really hoping to see one of the 2 incompletions in 11-11 was a throw to Hodgins on the sideline, solid throw. Hodgins could have went and made a play on it, and that is we talked about it in his player profile episode yesterday. That's where I want to see Hodgins grow. Mm-hmm. Because he's never going to be the fastest guy in the world. He's not going to, wake up and be a bunch faster. But what he can do is make contested catches down the sideline. I was really hoping for him to make that play. And after Hodgins had such a good practice yesterday, I thought I was watching him go against guys like Flott a little bit, and he didn't have the same day. I don't think he had any. Did he have any catches even on 7-on-7? I didn't track who caught the passes on 7-on-7. He didn't have any.
I don't remember any kind of notable moments.
If they were a quick 5-yard pass. I wanted to see out of him. And then in one-on-ones, the last one, I don't know, because they blew the whistle while Slayton and Amani Rory were lining up, and they're like, "Oh, we're not doing it," and then they did it. Slayton. Like, go watch it. The Giants Take Pod, they tweeted out, and Slayton's like, dude, that was one of the worst releases I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Put him on it. And then Nick McLeod got up in him. And so, I mean, I guess we could talk about the DBs.
No. I want to talk about one more receiver first.
Let's go.
Jalen Hyatt. He's had a weird 2 days. I actually thought that he made some more plays today than yesterday, but it's been listen, this is just me reporting what's happening. This is not an indication on Jalen Hyatt. He's a little bit of a drop problem, not consistently fully catching things very cleanly. He looked really frustrated today. That's the main takeaway, where he looked really frustrated today. One point, Brian Dable ran across the field. Hyatt was on our sides, like towards the sideline and the fan side, and Hyatt was pretty frustrated. Brian Dable comes running across the field to talk to him, wraps his arm around him. Wan'Dale Robinson eventually makes his way too. They make their way back to the sideline, pats him on the chest a little bit, and apparently, like, that wasn't the only time of the day that Brian Dable went up to Jalen Hyatt. So,
so Hyatt's with the third team right now.
Yeah,
and there was twice, and that was one of those plays where he won vertically. Like vertically, which is what Jalen Hyatt do. And he did catch a nice crosser on 7-on-7s, but he won vertically.
But didn't get the ball thrown.
But Tommy DeVito didn't throw him the ball the other time.
Sure.
And like you said, it was noticeable. Like, he was frustrated. Dable came over and was walking him up with the sideline. And it's going to be an uphill climb for Jalen Hyatt to get playing time.
Specifically in 2023.
Yeah, this season, obviously. I'm not projecting. But, we saw some of the struggles that we thought he would have in the red zone. Now, today he looked better and great, but he's gonna have to work through that and to get playing time. But he did get some first team reps. Didn't get any targets, but they do have him. They do have plans for him because they're not putting David Sills isn't getting any first team reps. Like, the only wide receivers that are getting first team reps are Slayton, Hodgins, Campbell, Beasley. And then Hyatt got a handful today after not getting any yesterday. So there are plans for him, but I think it's going to have to come along a little more.
Yeah. Now let's get to the DBs.
Let me see if there's anything else I had offensively. Colin Johnson had a really nice contested catch from Tyrod Taylor. Let's see if we have any questions.
It's like, Colin Johnson looks good, but it's going to be tough for him to make team. Bryce Ford Wheaton continues to look really good too.
I don't think so. He got beat really bad in one-on-ones, and he had a drop. I think
he made a nice catch over the middle that I saw.
And I want to just put this out there. Part of the Bryce Ford Wheaton hype is kind of just having fun at training camp.
Yeah,
because he is the UDFA prospect. He's 6'4", ran the 4.3 40 time. I have no expectation because I had someone ask me, like, why are you so confident in him? I do not see him making the roster. In fact, I think maybe you could even move him to tight size. He can have a path to playing in the NFL.
There's too many bodies in this room right now.
Yeah, so right now, like, I wouldn't take any Bryce. It's just having fun. Like, it's like, when you're watching you're talking about him in the context of other third stringers. So I want to put in there. But hey, let's flip that to the defensive with Bryce Ford Wheaton. Trey Hawkins, who is the 6'2", really athletic, corner out of Old Dominion, 6th-round pick this past season. He had the best one-on-one rep of the day against Bryce Ford Wheaton, where he presses him up, and Bryce Ford Wheaton is running a 15-yard in route into the end zone. He presses him up, forces him to take an outside release, and undercuts that ball and gets a beautiful interception. Now, in a game, the quarterback's not throwing that. It was Tyrod Taylor. But it's one-on-one, so you do have to throw the ball, and it's not like – you ever play with someone like on 3-on-3 backyard football and they're the quarterback, and if no one's open, they will literally just sit there and sit there. It's like, just throw the damn ball. We're having fun in the back. You can't do that in one-on-ones in the NFL. You do have to throw the ball at the break. So one-on-one interceptions don't discredit Tyrod Taylor.
But he was blanketed.
But yeah, the point is Trey Hawkins was, pressed him up, forced him out, forced an outside release, undercut it, and brought the ball in. Like, really awesome play for a guy who was getting a little bit of second team reps.
He was getting them today
throughout the day.
Yeah,
and they drafted this guy, part of their second draft class. I'm excited to see him continue to develop and move along. And we know he has the size and athleticism.
Where'd he go? Did he go to the same school as O'Shane?
O'Shane,
Old Dominion.
Old Dominion.
And part of the Trey Hawkins draft pick, especially this year in Joe Shane's second year, I don't know if they make that draft pick last year because Joe Shane kind of coming in here and not having his staff fully in line. Joe Shane only doing rounds 1 through 4 evaluations. Trey Hawkins was a top 40 pick that they met with earlier that they met with before the draft process, but I don't know if they're picking such a small school guy. And that was a guy, even though he's from a small school, that was a guy that we were really, really excited about. I would say besides, hey, we got excited about Eric Ray, but like Trey Hawkins is kind of up there with me about excitement level that we have even with like Eric Ray, and that's a guy that's not getting talked about. Had a really good day today running with the twos, like you said, so I'm excited to see him as we keep going in camp.
The other DB who I decided today, I'm focusing on him, and that's Cordell Flott, who practiced with the first team today.
Yep.
Now, Darnay struggled mightily yesterday. He actually did play better with the second team. He had a really nice one-on-one rep versus Cole Beasley. I was watching him a lot today in team drills, and I was impressed. Like, he was pressing guys up. Like, the Daniel Jones interception, that started with Daniel Jones having to get off of the first concept, part of the play side, the front side concept, because Cordell Flott pressed up Isaiah Hodgins. He even, he pressed up Darren Waller and forced an outside release, and maybe if the ball was thrown there, Waller still catches it, but was in his hip pocket. And there was just a couple other plays where I watched him, just really disruptive at the line of scrimmage. I don't know what he weighs now. I don't think it's over 200 pounds. I know it's not over 200 pounds, but he doesn't look as skinny as he did last offseason. I don't know. He was 175 coming out of the draft, so maybe he's up to that 182, 180, 181, which I think he can be fine playing at. It's yet to be seen, but I said it yesterday. That was like my one big definitive thing from position battles yesterday. It's like Cordell Flott just needs to start, right? Darnay does not fit this system with as a man cover corner, and especially early days of camp when they're going to be playing a ton of man coverage. And Cordell Flott just looks a lot better out there.
If Wink Martindale wants to accomplish the things that he wants to accomplish, Cordell Flott needs to be starting.
Absolutely, like it's time. Like I know I'm sure they'll have some back and forth between position battles, but it is go time for Cordell Flott. You
and in a way,
him in the third round, it's go time for him to play and start over Darnay.
Let me ask you this too. We had Nick McLeod return back to corner today, and I guess if you're safety and how you can line up as a safety and nickel corner, all those things can be blurred, and that's how I think Nick McLeod is going to be used this year. If Deonte Banks isn't fully ready to take that CB2 job and CB2 role, how would you want cornerback broken up between, let's just say Darnay Holmes is not involved in this. How would you want it involved between Adoree Jackson, Cordell Flott, and like Nick McLeod. Like Nick McLeod in the slot, Nick McLeod on the outside like he was last year, leave Cordell Flott in the slot. We know Cordell can go on the outside. How would you want it lined up?
I haven't envisioned any world where Deonte Banks isn't starting on the outside.
Okay.
And we'll talk about Banks, and I guess I could turn into it. Banks has struggled. He's targeted a lot yesterday in the red zone. There was many a times where he just consistently struggles losing the release. Or if it's like a whip route, it's that second break that gives him issues. And you mentioned he had the breakup on Hodgins. I saw your tweet. What was the other play that he made?
Back-to-back plays. It was on Hodgins.
There was the Hodgins up the sideline. But anyways, he is struggling. First 2 days of his training camp history. So, again, you need to have some type of grace period with any rookies, but he's not walking out here and dominating from day one.
No, it's really tough to do that as a corner anyway.
Yeah, but the Giants have a wide receiver core you can use this year, but it's not like we have the wide receiver one or some wide receiver duo. We have playable guys who you can go and score points with.
Yeah,
but you don't have guys that are out just like you're worried about when you're game planning for
right.
them. So Banks is your first round pick. His progression will be something we're noting through all of these practices. Amani Rourier, like I said, he pressed up Slayton. I didn't actually see it, but he did pull down an interception.
He did.
And you mentioned McLeod. If there's anyone, Amani Rourier has played a lot of snaps in the NFL. He's got some bad film. He's got some really good film too. He's kind of been a feast or famine corner, but he could be in play for there. But he was getting some he was practicing with the second string and the third string, so maybe he's not coming along exactly like they want, but he did make some plays. And then Darnay. Like Darnay looked a lot better today than he did yesterday. He broke up a pass. He was again
Second team.
working against second teamers, but he did have some good reps against Cole Beasley. So, we're not judging a guy off of 1 day or 2 days. We're judging him off of a 3-year career at this point. But hey, he did get a couple pass breakups today. We haven't spent much time in the trenches yet because they're not wearing pads, and I know there's a lot of what people want to hear about is the trenches, and me too. I love talking about the trenches, but we just have not been able to see it a lot. But here's what I will say, because everyone wants to know about Evan Neal. We haven't noticed Evan Neal sucking. Now they've been playing with the right tackle on the opposite side of us, so it's not readily available for us.
Yeah.
But I have not. Have you? Have you noticed like Evan Neal bad plays? Because
New York Revival posted one where either Aziz or Kayvon got to his inside and beat him on an inside move. But that's one play. I'm not taking any stock until we get into pads. Yeah. I have not even watched O-line D-line.
Yeah, I watched a little bit. There was a couple plays where the Dex worked John Michael Smith on a play today. And then Glowinski got beat
somebody we were hanging out with said Mark Glowinski had a bad rep. And it's like, all right, well, today is a day that ends in a Y. Yeah. So also, what was I about to say? Oh, yeah, so like the major theme takeaway. I don't know if I said this at the top. Wide receivers, 1 day 1. DBs, primarily 1 day 2.
Yeah, definitely, the DBs. But that's the great thing about Darren Waller. It's like, yeah, the DBs, 1 day 2.
But the offense still had a solid day because
we
he had
just
Darren
threw
Waller.
Darren Waller.
Yeah.
Like the people I had making catches, the 9 catches and 11 on 11 was Darren Waller, Daniel Daniel Bellinger, Darius Slayton with a nice over route, Jeff Smith.
Ooh,
Jeff Smith got like 1 rep with the first team and had a little catch on a whip route.
Yeah,
Paris Campbell, Darren Waller, Paris Campbell.
Yeah,
and the Paris Campbell ones are quick. But something with Paris Campbell, they are going to they're going to use Paris Campbell in the backfield as part of the receiving game.
Yeah.
And they're really just installing in their playbook because they have like Jaden Mickens doing it with the third team. So that's something that they are trying to install in their playbook. We'll see
how it evolves.
How it evolves and if they pull it out in the regular season. But it is something that we've seen 2 days in a row now.
Yeah, Saquon's been – there's been a lot of times where they've spread it out and Saquon's out as a receiver. And
they're not using the running backs very, very much.
They're not. But, I mean, still, like – the field is very spread out and it's very wide right now. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, that's what the Giants are going to do in a game in a regular season. This is a passing camp and all that shit like that. But it's something just to keep an eye on because it's something that they did want to do last year, not having the personnel, not having the offensive line, Daniel Jones looking shaky the first couple weeks and then them having to adjust the offense.
Yeah.
So we'll see how long they stick with it and when the pads go on, if they'll stick with those formations and what the personnel grouping frequency looks like.
It was nice to see McKinney at least catch the interception, even though he caught it.
It was a nice little diving
catch
or kind of going. I don't want to say diving catch, but he went to the ground with it.
Yeah, but at least he caught it.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else before we start talking to the chat a little bit?
No. Really, I didn't take a ton of notes today. The only note that I took was Jalen Hyatt being a little frustrated. I did see Cole Beasley and Sterling Shepard talking to each other a lot. I think that's cool. They're like similar kinds of players. They're two of the, they are the 2 vets in the wide receiver room that have been there, done that. 2 similar kinds of players with play styles, and I kind of see them vibing. Even though you wouldn't think those are 2 guys that maybe would vibe together, maybe it's like, hey, we've been here, done that before, type of thing. So they were talking to each other.
I'd like to see Bees work with Wandale because the stuff that Beasley does really well is the stuff that Wandale needs to get better. Yeah. And Wandale's the better athlete, so he has a higher ceiling than Beasley. Obviously, Wandale's on PUP and not practicing, but I would like to see maybe we're not going to see out of camp, but I hope there's some learning, tape that Cole Beasley is giving them when they're going through stuff for Wandale when he gets back, because that's kind of like that's like if Wandale turns out, he's probably like a Cole Beasley type player.
Questions.
We had one super chat from Kelvin. If Trey Hawkins is amazing this year, I'd rather have him next year than Adoree Jackson. Trey Hawkins made a good play. I don't think he's going to turn out to be amazing as a 6th-round picker as a rookie, but we'll see.
Ask us questions.
Someone asked about the lighting.
We can fix it. The warehouse is.
Yeah, we're in our New Jersey warehouse.
The warehouse is in an interesting spot right now.
Yeah, so get some questions in now.
We have a podcast coming out tomorrow where we're gonna
Had Art Stapleton in the van.
recap camp, give some big picture talking points versus these live streams. The whole point of these live streams is that we just talk about anything and everything that comes to our mind. Art Stapleton will be on the second part of the show, and I actually think it was good to really have Art on this time. Art did an interview with Cole Beasley that he talked about towards the end. He gives his record prediction. We talk Tony and a Tony Award, and we talk a lot of Saquon Barkley, kind of like put like a bow on that.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Queefland Brown asked, the cap situation is so confusing to me. I get the cut to 53 will come at some point, and they are waiving players constantly, but where's the money from these signings and extensions coming
Can
from?
I tell you how my brain works for the NFL with cap space? I care about cap from the months of February to July, and then once we are in camp, it's done, and rock and roll, football.
There's a top 51 rule where only the top 51 players in the offseason until that 90-man cut, the 53-man cut down, count against the cap. And the extensions, those actually lower cap hits because they usually make the first year cap hit lower.
Somebody asked about Aaron Robinson, and I actually was thinking about asking you if you've watched him at all.
He's on PUP.
Never mind.
So he hasn't looked very. I saw Sills did cook Amani Aurora. Amani Aurora is the biggest feast or famine player of all time. I saw
and Sills just cooks no matter what.
Yeah, Sills cooked him on one of those.
Let Sills cook.
How is Bobby Okereke looking? He's like active in the passing game. Like they used him as a blitzer a little bit today, but again, the story comes with Okereke once pads come on. Let's see. How are they using Campbell? Have you? How do you see them using him moving forward? I think he's really going to be part of the quick game. Like that's where his catches have come from throughout camp. They're moving. They've used him out of the backfield, which you're not going to be targeting him 30 yards down the backfield. I think he can have an occasional down the field pass, and I think he can win like that. But you can tell they are grooming him as whether it's slot or outside, as kind of like that quick game, move the chains, option route type
Richie
stuff.
James.
Richie James with more athleticism. Let's see. Anything you've seen from Gray which excites you? No, running the ball. Can Lawrence Cager be stopped? Yes. Lawrence Cager is like...
Yes, he can be stopped.
Lawrence Cager, yeah. Lawrence Cager is fast. He's, tall, former wide receiver. But it's always incomplete when the ball goes to him. It just seems like it's always incomplete when the ball goes to Lawrence Cager. Is Beaver still getting majority of first-team reps? Yes, they are. Let's get a question.
So does DJ have a lot of zip on his passes? So we are still far away. Maybe there's a practice where I will grin it, bear it, go down to the fence and stay there the whole practice, and I'll put sun lotion on my arms and my entire body. But you watched all those videos last night that the Giants put out, and I think it's easier to see those angles. Do you think he's integrating more different arm angles in how he's throwing?
So that's actually a good topic. There is more times where he's rolling to his left and throwing away from his. And one was the interception today.
I even saw him warming up, like doing it. Yeah.
Now again, it's the first 2 days of camp. They did more, just as many 7-on-7 as 11-on-11, where there's no pass rush. So it's a lot easier to do those things when you're doing that, and we've really only seen it in 7-on-7. I don't think that's going to be some big part of Daniel Jones' game, right? I just don't see that happening. Like, I'm sure maybe it's something he's worked on this offseason.
Maybe from within the pocket.
What do you mean?
Because you even see, like, Mahomes. All right, everybody bear with me. You've seen Mahomes and Rodgers do even the arm angle stuff from the pocket. I'm not talking about on the run and then throwing across your body. I'm even saying from like a perspective where you're planted and even releasing it from a different arm angle and in a different slot. Because I even saw him like practicing that in warm-ups today, even doing not just typically conventionally throwing and shit like that. So we'll keep an eye on that as camp goes on and how often he does it, how often he's practicing it. But I can't see the zip. I know one of the reporters said, "Oh, Daniel Jones' zip looks really good on the ball." We said the same thing about Eli in 2018 and 2019. Yeah, but I did notice.
Daniel Jones has just
stuff.
Looked good. Like Daniel Jones has flat out looked good. Now we expect him to look good, right? We just gave him $40 million a year, but he has looked good. I want to see some more with pass rush and stuff and see how he does with that. But and push the ball down the field more when they get in the open field. But yeah, he's looked very good. He's been efficient. I mean, it was 9 of 11 on 11 on 11s today. He was 3 of 4 yesterday. So, of 15, 11 on 11 passes, he's only 3 of them have hit the ground. So.
Yesterday, red zone. Today was second and medium, and today was also third and medium. Yeah. So we'll see when they get to second and long and third and long how much they're stretching the field. And
so he's looked good, and I think he looks more confident. Second year in the system, got his money. Obviously, there's going to be a little more confidence in his game than there was this time last year, where new coach, they declined your option, and he looked really bad last training camp. Like we were talking about it with NYG Daily. It's like we went into last training camp thinking that this was the last year of Daniel Jones. We came out of training camp being like, this is the last year of Daniel Jones.
Yeah. And people in the Giants building believed it too.
Yeah, I remember at training camp.
We know that for a fact.
All right. That's it. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's is going to be later because the practice is at 5 o'clock.
Probably a 7:30 vehicle live stream.
Yeah, 7:30 or 8. We'll be going live
Probably
tomorrow,
8.
but it's going to be fun. So we appreciate you guys. Someone said, what's up with the filming of practice? Are they really so mad about it?
No more.
So yesterday they said the people in the security are saying we could record everything but 11 on 11, so we did.
Yep.
And then today they got.
It's the same thing every year.
They reached out to us and said, they don't. I'm not going to complain about it because I just don't care about
rules.
Whining about it. It's a us issue, but it is like I will say, it is so apparent. No team is changing any part of their game plan from watching. Even if they watch every single clip, there's nothing that is being changed about their preparation.
The Dallas Cowboys are not watching our Twitter feeds. Same thing as the Tennessee Titans.
And even if they are not changing anything about their prepreration for it.
Yeah.
But it is what it is at this point. I kind of like it, so I want to get the clips out. It helps us. But not having to do the clips, it lets you just watch practice.
For sure.
And you can evaluate a little more. So partly is me thanking them, like, well, I just can't do it. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Appreciate you guys. Check out the podcast in the morning, live stream in the afternoon. Until then, let's
PPPs. Watch them.
Big Blue. Something went wrong with StreamYard? What the hell?
Yeah, the internet was going.